MK Ultra mind control. From 1953 to 1973, the CIA ran a covert program called MK Ultra that tested mind control techniques on unwitting American and Canadian citizens. They dosed people with LSD without consent, sometimes for days or weeks at a time, to see if they could erase memories or implant new ones. The agency contracted dozens of universities, hospitals, and prisons to conduct experiments involving drugs, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and torture. Test subjects included prisoners, mental patients, prostitutes, and just random people drugged at bars or parties. Many suffered permanent psychological damage or died. The program destroyed most of its records in 1973 when the director sensed investigations coming, but around 20,000 documents survived. In 1975, the Church Committee and FOIA requests forced these files into the open, confirming what conspiracy theorists had claimed for years. The CIA officially apologized in 1995, though the full scope remains unknown. Tuskegee Syphilis Study. In 1932, the U.S. Public Health Service started tracking nearly 400 black men in Alabama who had syphilis. The researchers told these men they were being treated for bad blood, but that was a lie. They weren't getting treatment at all. The doctors just wanted to watch what untreated syphilis does to the human body over time. This went on for 40 years. Even after penicillin became the standard cure for syphilis in the 1940s, the researchers deliberately kept it from the subjects. They wanted to see the full progression of the disease, the organ damage, the dementia, the slow deterioration. Many of the men died from complications that could have been easily prevented. The study only stopped in 1972 when a whistleblower finally leaked the details to the press, forcing the government to shut it down. Operation Northwoods. In 1962, the Joint Chiefs of Staff came up with a plan that sounds like pure conspiracy theory, except it's completely documented. Operation Northwoods was a proposal to stage fake terrorist attacks on American citizens and blame them on Cuba to justify invading the island. The plan included hijacking planes, blowing up a U.S. ship in Guantanamo Bay, and orchestrating bombings in American cities. They even considered creating fake casualty lists of made-up victims. The military brass actually put this in writing and sent it up the chain of command. President Kennedy rejected it outright, and the whole thing got buried until the documents were declassified in the 1990s. It's one of those rare cases where the conspiracy turned out to be real, just never executed. COINTELPRO surveillance. COINTELPRO was the FBI's secret counterintelligence program that ran from 1956 to 1971, designed to surveil and sabotage American citizens and groups the Bureau considered subversive. The targets weren't foreign spies or terrorists, but domestic political organizations, civil rights activists, anti-war protesters, and community leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. Agents would infiltrate meetings, spread false information to turn members against each other, plant fake evidence, forge threatening letters, and even arrange illegal break-ins. They'd send anonymous letters to activists, employers, or spouses to ruin their lives. The whole operation stayed hidden until 1971 when a group of activists broke into an FBI office in Media, Pennsylvania, stole files, and leaked them to newspapers. The documents revealed thousands of operations targeting citizens exercising their constitutional rights, all under the justification of protecting national security. Watergate break-in. In June 1972, 5 men were caught breaking into the Democratic National Committee headquarters at the Watergate office complex in Washington, D.C. At first, most people brushed it off as a random burglary, maybe some low-level political snooping at worst, but it turned out the burglars were connected to President Nixon's re-election campaign, and they'd been sent to plant listening devices and photograph documents. The real story wasn't just the break-in, though. It was what came after. Nixon and his top aides spent the next 2 years orchestrating a massive cover-up, destroying evidence, paying hush money to the burglars, and using the CIA and FBI to block the investigation. As journalists and prosecutors kept digging, the whole thing unraveled. By August 1974, facing certain impeachment, Nixon became the first president in American history to resign. Big tobacco cover-up. Starting in the 1950s, tobacco executives knew their product was killing people. Their own internal research proved nicotine was addictive and cigarettes caused lung cancer, but they buried those studies and lied about it for decades. While people were dying, company scientists were running experiments showing exactly how harmful smoking was. Then the bosses would lock those reports away. Publicly, the executives testified under oath that cigarettes weren't addictive and the cancer link wasn't proven. They spent millions funding fake research and hiring scientists to muddy the waters and create doubt. Now, this all came crashing down in the 1990s when whistleblowers leaked thousands of internal documents showing the whole conspiracy in black and white. The companies had deliberately deceived the public while knowing full well they were selling a deadly, addictive product. Iran-Contra affair. The Iran-Contra affair sounds complicated, but the core scheme was pretty straightforward. Senior officials in Reagan's administration secretly sold weapons to Iran, which was under an arms embargo at the time, then took the profits from those sales and funneled them to Contra rebels fighting in Nicaragua. Congress had explicitly banned funding the Contras, so this was illegal on two fronts. When rumors first surfaced, the administration dismissed them as conspiracy theories and political attacks. But investigations in 1986 and 1987 confirmed the whole operation. It turned out National Security Council staff had orchestrated the deal, using intermediaries and Swiss bank accounts to hide the money trail. Several officials were indicted, though most convictions were later overturned on technicalities. The scandal damaged Reagan's credibility, but he finished his term. NSA mass surveillance. For years, people warning about mass government surveillance were dismissed as conspiracy theorists wearing tinfoil hats, but they turned out to be right. The NSA was collecting phone records on millions of Americans who had nothing to do with terrorism or crime. We're talking metadata on basically every call made, who you called, when, for how long. They were also tapping into internet communications through a program called Prism, pulling data directly from tech companies like Google and Facebook. The collection was warrantless and indiscriminate. In 2013, Edward Snowden, an NSA contractor, leaked thousands of classified documents proving all of it. The government had been building this surveillance apparatus in secret for years, and the public had no idea the scale of what was happening until those leaks went public. Gulf of Tonkin lies. In August 1964, the US government told the American public that North Vietnamese patrol boats attacked American destroyers in the Gulf of Tonkin on two separate occasions. The first attack on August 2nd actually happened, though it was minor and the US ship wasn't damaged. The second attack on August 4th never occurred at all. The destroyer's sonar operator reported torpedo sounds in rough weather, but it was almost certainly just bad readings from the choppy seas and crew paranoia. Navy pilots flying overhead saw nothing. Even the captain of the USS Maddox sent a message saying the whole thing was doubtful. But President Johnson used both incidents to push the Gulf of Tonkin resolution through Congress, which gave him authority to escalate military action in Vietnam without declaring war. FBI's MLK campaign. The FBI's campaign against Martin Luther King Jr. is one of the most controversial chapters in U.S. history. Under the leadership of J. Edgar Hoover, the agency viewed Martin Luther King Jr. as a potential threat and closely monitored him from 1963 until his death in 1968. During this time, the FBI used surveillance methods such as wiretaps and recordings, collecting extensive information in an effort to find material that could be used against him. In 1964, the situation escalated when King received an anonymous package containing personal recordings, along with a letter attempting to pressure him before his Nobel Peace Prize recognition. The incident remains widely discussed as an example of how far intelligence agencies went during that era. For years, many people questioned whether these actions truly happened. However, the Church Committee investigation in 1975 confirmed that the surveillance and campaign were real, and later document releases revealed even more details about the extent of the operation.